You know that phenomenon where you buy a new car or even just start thinking about buying a specific car and suddenly you start seeing that exact make and model everywhere you go?
Oh, right. Yeah, the frequency illusion
Yeah.
or the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon.
Mhm.
Your brain basically just gets primed to notice something it had previously filtered out as, background noise.
Right, exactly. The standard psychological explanation is just that the cars were always there, you just weren't paying attention. But what if it wasn't just your perception shifting?
Okay.
What if, by focusing your internal energy on that specific thing, you were literally altering reality to pull more of them into your physical space? Like you've become this bizarre, walking, real world magnet.
That definitely sounds like magic.
It does, right? But today we are diving into a philosophy that argues this is precisely how the universe operates. So, welcome to today's deep dive. On the table today, we have a truly fascinating translation of a philosophical essay written by Xuefeng.
Translated by Kinyu. Right.
Yes, exactly. And it centers around the teachings of a community known as Lifechanyuan.
Right. And acting as the anchor for this entire essay is this really ancient-sounding, highly evocative proverb. It goes, fragrances will attract butterflies to flowers, and pure hearts will be frequented by celestial beings.
Okay, let's unpack this, because on the surface, it just sounds like, a beautiful line of poetry you might find cross-stitched on a pillow somewhere.
Yeah, like a nice little bumper sticker.
Exactly. But our mission for you, the listener, in this deep dive is to decode this philosophy. We want to figure out the actual mechanics of how the text claims our internal mental states dictate the external reality we experience.
Right, because it's this core premise that the energy you put out, the thoughts you harbor, the environment you cultivate, that is exactly what you attract back.
Right. And it's not just a casual suggestion.
No, not at all. This text is incredibly ambitious. It essentially operates as a masterclass in synthesis. I mean, it doesn't treat psychology, environmental science, and spiritual well-being as separate disciplines.
Oh, interesting. So it lumps them together.
Exactly. It takes the physical environment, human psychology, and spiritual states, and it blends them into one unified theory of how life operates.
Wow.
Yeah, it basically argues that the internal and the external are not separate domains at all. They are exact mirrors of one another.
To really grasp the weight of that claim, the text starts by grounding us in the physical world, right? Before it even touches on the human mind, the essay defines the relationship between physical environments and the beings that inhabit them.
Yeah, it uses these vivid, almost blunt examples.
Very blunt. It points out that when foreign dignitaries visit a new place, they opt for five-star hotels. You aren't going to find them booking a room at some dilapidated roadside inn.
Right, and it extends this logic across all spectrums of existence.
Hmm.
Recluses, people seeking deep spiritual cultivation. They choose picturesque mountains and rivers. They actively avoid desolate, barren lands.
Yeah, the text notes that a phoenix avoids barren lands entirely.
Exactly. And you certainly aren't going to find peonies naturally growing in the Gobi Desert.
Right, and the essay doesn't pull any punches when it gets to human behavior either. I mean, it points out that gamblers absolutely revel in murky, obscure environments.
While sages, on the other hand, prefer places with serene, fresh air.
Yeah, and it even gets a bit provocative, noting that harlots attract promiscuous men, and debauchees specifically tempt women looking for affairs.
The underlying message being that filthy places attract flies, while blooming flowers welcome bees and butterflies.
So what's fascinating here is... Wait, I'm stealing your line.
No, go ahead.
Well, what I mean is it functions basically like a personalized social media algorithm, but applied to physical reality.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. Think about how a digital algorithm works. It monitors your behavior, your pauses, your clicks, and then serves you more of the exact same content until your entire feed is an echo chamber of your own making.
Mm-hmm. It feeds you back to yourself.
Exactly. So if your internal algorithm is projecting like murky gambler energy, the universe isn't going to serve you serene mountain energy.
No, it's not.
You're going to get murky gambler results served up to you. You'll naturally gravitate toward those spaces, and those spaces will naturally pull you in.
What's fascinating here is the dual nature of the argument Xuefeng is making.
Yeah.
Because the author isn't merely stating the obvious, that the environment shapes the species.
Right.
The text explicitly argues that the environment is actively shaped by the species. It's an endless feedback loop.
A feedback loop, yeah.
Scammers and thieves find it remarkably easy to communicate with each other because they are operating on the same frequency.
Yeah.
Just as sages effortlessly seek out companions with kindred spirits.
So the space creates the person, and the person creates the space.
Yes. And the text actually makes this exact parallel to the internet, which is brilliant because it grounds a rather lofty philosophy in our mundane daily habits.
Oh, the part about browsing.
Yeah. It points out that people who browse the internet daily naturally favor websites that perfectly suit their temperament and personality.
You construct your digital reality based on your internal baseline.
Exactly. And it changes how you perceive other people, too. The text notes that in the eyes of lovers, beauty lies in the beholder.
But in the eyes of evildoers.
Right. They constantly perceive others as troublemakers or threats. Tyrants surround themselves with sycophants not by accident, but because a sycophant is the only type of person who can survive in the specific reality a tyrant's internal state demands.
Which implies a terrifying level of personal responsibility. I mean, if you are constantly finding yourself in a reality filled with sycophants, scammers, or just relentless interpersonal friction, this philosophy leaves you no room to play the victim.
Not at all. It asks you to look inward. You're the one projecting the barren land, therefore the phoenix is never going to land there.
Wow. Okay, so if our physical spaces and social circles act as a mirror to our internal algorithm, what happens when that internal code is full of bugs and glitches?
Things get messy.
Right. Let's look at the psychological toll of a chaotic mind, because the text transitions from the environment to the severe consequences of having a turbulent internal state.
Yeah. According to Schuffing, the primary consequence of internal chaos is a complete inability to function at a high level.
Like, at all.
Pretty much. The text asks us to consider being in a chaotic physical place with countless overlapping tasks to handle. When your mind is mimicking that state of overwhelming turbulence, it becomes literally impossible to deeply contemplate a single matter.
Let alone produce something of lasting value, like a profound article or a brilliant idea.
Exactly. The text states plainly, when the mind is calm, ideas flow naturally.
The text is actually somewhat brutal about chaos, honestly. It argues that disorder literally ravages life.
There's that weather analogy used to explain the sheer biological incompatibility of chaos.
Right, imagine if today the weather is scorching hot and tomorrow it's biting, freezing cold.
And then the next morning it's serene, but by the afternoon there is a massive violent deluge.
Right, month after month of that unpredictability. Life on Earth wouldn't just be uncomfortable, agricultural systems would collapse, ecosystems would die off, life would be wiped out.
And the essay applies that same metric of physical survival to human psychology and decision-making. Imagine a person whose desires fluctuate that unpredictably.
So today they are determined to conquer the business world, but tomorrow they abandon it to run for political office.
Yeah. Or in the morning, they are dead set on marrying someone named Xiao Wang, but by the afternoon, they've entirely changed their mind and want to wed Daliu.
Just totally erratic.
Completely. The text poses a critical question. Can a person living in that state of constant chaotic fluctuation lead a long, healthy life?
I mean, I have to challenge the premise here, though. Aren't we romanticizing stillness a bit too much?
How so?
Well, I look at some of the most brilliant artists in history, or, entrepreneurs who build massive empires, and their lives are wildly messy. They thrive in the hustle, the noise, and the absolute pandemonium. Sometimes chaos is the engine for creativity.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of the Lifechanyuan teachings, we see a crucial distinction being made here.
Between what and what?
Between surface-level busyness and what the text calls the quality of life, like capital L, capital I, capital F, capital E.
Okay, quality of life.
Yeah. The text observes that lower quality life actually leans toward chaos. Those with distorted mindsets eagerly anticipate chaos, operating under the assumption, amidst the chaos, one can fish in troubled waters and seize power.
Ah, I see. So fishing in troubled waters is a survival tactic for people who lack a solid internal foundation.
Exactly.
If you can't build something of value in the clear light of day, you just stir up the mud so you can grab whatever floats to the surface.
Precisely. Higher quality life favors foundational order. Saints and sages, the text notes, never guide people toward rebellion, rioting, or plunder. True high-quality life requires structural integrity.
Right.
Even when literal chaos is raging in the external world, the virtuous remain internally structured. The text beautifully describes this state. The wind blows, the mountains stand still, leaves fall silently.
Oh, that reframes it perfectly. The mountain isn't ignoring the storm, it simply isn't destroyed by it because its foundation is solid. Yes.
So it's not a debate about whether noise exists in the world. It's a question of whether your internal structure can withstand it without collapsing.
And The text explicitly says this is not merely a matter of moral quality, but a fundamental question of life quality. Survival, thriving, and accessing deeper levels of human potential require an orderly foundation. You just cannot build a skyscraper on a swamp.
Okay, so if foundational order is the absolute prerequisite to thriving, there has to be a methodology here. It can't just be a vague instruction to, think happy thoughts.
No, definitely not.
So how does this philosophy actually instruct someone to build that orderly foundation, which it refers to as a pure heart?
Well, the text defines a pure heart primarily through the lens of profound tranquility and natural order. It relies heavily on untouched natural imagery.
Right, like what?
A pure heart is compared to a babbling brook, a field adorned with blooming flowers, towering, overlapping mountain ranges, a calm lake with rippling waves, or the vast, unobstructed expanse of the starry night sky.
It paints a picture of ultimate serene expansiveness. It really does.
But getting to that state of expansiveness is where the text gives us a very specific checklist of impurities that block it. And here's where it gets really interesting, because the author mixes the incredibly profound with the hyper-mundane.
Yeah, it's a comprehensive list of what not to do.
Yeah.
It starts with the expected philosophical blocks.
Right.
A heart harboring evil thoughts is impure.
Right.
A deluded, fantasizing mind is impure.
Yeah.
An incessantly greedy heart is impure.
And then it gets into behavioral blocks, like seeking undue advantage taints the heart, deceitful behavior, speaking nonsense, engaging in conflict, or lacking compassion. All of these sully the heart. It even says disrespecting your parents darkens the heart, alongside insulting gods and Buddhas.
And then, perhaps most surprisingly for a dense philosophical essay, it includes purely physical blocks.
Yes, this part blew my mind.
It states that an impure body defiles the heart, and a dirty, disorderly living space pollutes the heart.
That juxtaposition is wild. You have this profound spiritual text talking about the vast starry sky and engaging with celestial beings, and right in the middle of the checklist, it basically tells you to clean your room.
Literally.
You can be seeking ultimate enlightenment, meditating for hours a day, but if your bedroom is a disaster area, or if you're always trying to scam a cheap bargain at the grocery store, this text says you are entirely blocked.
This raises an important question about how we typically compartmentalize our existence.
Yeah, how so?
Well, in modern society, we tend to think of spirituality as an activity.
Right, something you schedule.
Exactly, something that happens in a temple or during a yoga class, completely sequestered from how we handle our laundry or how we treat a customer service rep.
Oh, wow. Yeah?
But this text insists on absolute integration. The mundane chores of life cannot be separated from your broader spiritual bandwidth.
Let's talk about the mechanics of that, because it sounds like it comes down to cognitive load. If your living space is in chaos, your brain is subconsciously processing all of that visual static every second you are in that room.
Yeah, absolutely.
That physical clutter literally occupies the neurological RAM you need for deep contemplation.
That is exactly the mechanism at play. A chaotic living space isn't just visually unappealing, it is a physical manifestation of an unregulated mind.
Wow.
In the same vein, seeking a cheap bargain or trying to gain an undue advantage requires a mindset of scarcity and constant calculation.
You're always plotting.
Exactly. If your brain is dedicating 20% of its processing power to navigating a cluttered desk and another 30% to calculating how to get one over on your neighbor, you simply do not have the bandwidth left to process higher-order truths.
It brings us right back to the law of resonance from the beginning of our deep dive. If your living space is filthy, you are cultivating the environment that attracts flies, not butterflies. If your daily actions are rooted in deception or petty conflict, you are building a murky room for gamblers, not a serene mountain retreat for sages. You're writing the wrong code for your algorithm.
The order must be holistic. It must encompass your internal thoughts, your physical environment, and your daily interactions.
So you have to close all those unnecessary draining tabs in your brain.
Yes. Only when you clear out the greed, the mess, and the petty conflicts can you achieve the expansive, purified state the text describes.
And what happens when you do?
Yeah.
If someone manages to actually clear out the mental and physical clutter, what is the ultimate payoff of this philosophy? Because this brings us to the pinnacle of the essay, the second half of that core proverb. Pure hearts will be frequented by celestial beings.
The ultimate reward is access to profound, untethered spiritual clarity. The text asserts that a purified state of mind is literally the natural habitat of celestial beings.
Okay.
By achieving this state, you naturally attract their presence and their guidance. It's presented not as a supernatural miracle, but as a law of
How
physics.
interesting.
Yeah, just as the flower's specific fragrance mathematically attracts the butterfly, the specific frequency of a pure heart attracts the divine.
The essay makes a massive, sweeping claim here regarding historical figures, too.
It really does.
It says that the teachings of people like Jesus, Buddha Shakyamuni, and Laozi, all of their words and insights emanate directly from this exact pure state of mind.
And because of that shared origin point, the text argues something deeply radical.
Which is?
If you attain this purity of heart, you are tuning your own brain's receiver to the exact same frequency that those historical sages were operating on.
Wow.
It says that once you reach that state, understanding the teachings of Jesus, Buddha, or Laozi becomes, quote, as effortless as turning one's hand.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? The text is asking us to engage with a really profound concept, that achieving this pure state literally tunes your consciousness to a universal frequency, allowing you to access the identical stream of wisdom that the greatest philosophers and spiritual leaders tapped into. It's not just about having a secular aha moment.
Oh.
It's about fundamentally upgrading your brain's operating system to receive a higher caliber of insight.
That synthesis is the true power of Skufeng's essay. You simply cannot interpret the profound, paradigm-shifting teachings of history's greatest minds with a chaotic, greedy, or distracted brain.
Right, it just wouldn't compute.
Exactly. If you try to process a high-frequency truth through a low-frequency, cluttered receiver, it will just sound like static.
Yeah.
As the text notes, a tangled mess is distressing for anyone who encounters it. You must build the flower first if you want the butterfly to visit. The environment dictates the experience.
It's a complete inversion of how human beings normally operate. We spend our lives running around with nets, chasing the butterflies, we chase the inspiration, we chase the career success, we chase the perfect partner. But this philosophy is screaming at us to drop the net. Stop chasing, stand still, cultivate the soil, and plant the flower. If you do that, the butterflies have no choice but to come to you, because that is the inescapable law of nature.
We must acknowledge that this requires immense discipline. It is so much easier to let the weeds grow wild and then complain that only flies ever visit your garden.
Right.
It takes conscious, deliberate, daily effort to clear the space and cultivate the order required for those fragrances to bloom.
Your mind is a garden, and you are the only one who chooses whether to plant fragrant flowers or leave bags of garbage on the lawn.
That's a great way to put it.
The environment you cultivate internally dictates, with mathematical precision, what kind of experiences, insights, and people you attract externally.
Because the internal and the external are entirely unified.
As we wrap up today's deep dive, we want to leave you with a concrete thought to mull over, building directly on the source material's mention of our daily internet habits.
Right.
The text explicitly noted that people favor websites that perfectly suit their temperament. Your digital life is the ultimate, unfiltered mirror of your internal state.
It's a mirror that absolutely cannot lie about the frequency you're currently cultivating.
So right now, as soon as this deep dive ends, I challenge you to take a hard, honest look at your own browser history or your phone's screen time app.
That's a scary thought for some.
It really is. Based purely on your digital footprint over the last 24 hours, the videos you clicked, the arguments you read in the comment sections, the specific sites you lingered on, what kind of birds or butterflies are you actively inviting into your mental garden?
Yeah.
Are you setting the stage to attract celestial wisdom? Or are you just fishing in troubled waters, hoping to scrape by in the chaos? Remember, you are the magnet. The only question you have to answer is, what exactly are you pulling into your reality today?